Hello, and thanks for joining us today. My name is Gary Baracco. I'm the Director of Product Marketing for EC Vision. And today's webcast, Paving the Way for Better Supply Chain Collaboration, is the first in the Supply Chain Collaboration series that will be occurring through the summer. So let's get started. As global sourcing has become more complex, so have the supply chain challenges that you're dealing with. Long, unpredictable order-to-delivery cycles, increasing risk factors, higher labor and raw material costs, on top of the stringent import regulations are just a few of the problems that brands and retailers are facing. Now, in the past, you've relied on your PDM, PLM, ERP, and supply chain management software systems to help manage these complex issues. But the success of these solutions has only been marginal when it comes to these new problems that ever come about. So why have things changed? Well, basically because the global supply chain challenges are not in-house problems. Rather, they're all about external data and the external parties involved. So managing global sourcing requires multi-enterprise integration, visibility, and collaboration across the trading partner network. It's not just internal or in-house. Recently, I met with a team of sourcing executives at one of our retail customers' offices. They told me their biggest problem today is that they have too many disparate systems with no way to connect all of the information and all of the parties within them. So the right solution is a collaborative platform that creates a connected network of global partners through powerful cloud-based technology. During the presentation, I'm going to talk more about the needs to shift to collaborative processes in your supply chain, how this converging of data across existing software solutions through integration can help, and the benefits you can achieve through these technology and process changes. But first, what's really driving the need for change? Well, the retail dynamic in 2012 has created a new norm of doing business. Brands and retailers are feeling increased pressures in their supply chains. They're being squeezed tightly by the rising cost of goods and uncertain consumer demands. Then you've got raw material and component prices, production and labor costs, and transportation prices that have been fluctuating as much as the economic outlook. Add on top of that, the consumer confidence has been impacting spending habits since the recession. And now, every time shoppers walk into a store to buy, they expect better deals every time. So what are you to do? Well, you could pass along the increased cost to the consumer, who may or may not be willing to spend more. Or you can absorb the rising cost and try to rework the way you've done business in the past to try to still meet your company's goals. Those sourcing executives that I talked to all confirm that the key is a more efficient, streamlined supply chain. Of course, getting there isn't always as easy as it sounds. Change needs to occur, and you can't stop the flow of goods to make any dramatic shifts. Well, at EC Vision, our solution is a combined effort of data integration and the sharing of this information where decisions have the greatest impact, and that's at each level in the supply chain. The new supply chain that comes about from this technology shift is based on partnership. Retailers and brands that set out to partner with not only their Tier 1, but also their Tier 2 and 3 suppliers, all the way down to raw material providers, have a significant advantage. And the innovators of today are opening those lines of communication with their suppliers, and this makes a historic change in retail commerce. So why take this collaborative approach? Well, the features you need to build into your supply chain have allowed for these new pressures. Traditionally, sourcing executives were only concerned with minimizing cost and increasing speed in their supply chain. But with the complexity of global outsourcing today, there's new factors that affect the success of the supply chain. The new factors are shown here in this graphic, starting with increased agility, innovation, and speed. And then you're looking to reduce cost and risk. So it isn't as simple as the two-pointed matrix of just cost and risk that we used to have. Now you can't have too much or too little in each of these areas also. And you need to decide which features are important to your supply chain. To achieve that supply chain excellence that you're looking for, you have to balance out all 5 of these factors by shifting to more collaborative processes that involve all of the parties in your ecosystem. Just a few weeks ago, I read a report from Supply Chain Management World, and it was based on a survey of 374 supply chain professionals. In the report, one of the key things I took away from it was something that I'll quote. In truly collaborative trading relationships, targeted operational metrics, and they cited them as speed, cost, and risk, for example, can be expected to improve by 50% over those without collaborative execution capabilities. Again, truly collaborative trading relationships improved targeted operational metrics like speed, cost, and risk by about 50%. So the report findings showed that by harnessing collaboration, supply chains were leaner, they carried less inventories, and had lower costs, while at the same time, risk was reduced and innovation was elevated. These are the 5 factors that I'm talking about that need to be features in your supply chain, and this evidence from this report really supports it. So what's the right balance, though? It's different for each retailer, and it's difficult to label any one factor as the prime factor. The importance is based on the nature of your product, your target customer, and the requirements of your brand. For instance, some of the brands working with EC Vision, their preferred factor is quality, followed by innovation and cost. But this isn't always the case for others, where it's more important to be less expensive or fastest to market, for example. So let's take a look into each of these factors and how they can really play into your supply chain and how collaboration can help. The first is lower cost. Cost can be lowered by connecting with the factory early in the product development stage. This is before the PO, and it really provides that advanced visibility and sets the expectations with the supplier. By sharing forecasts and plans with suppliers earlier, or collaborating on material and design elements to lower your overall product cost, or even reserving capacity and raw materials to shorten lead time. Next, we're looking to increase the speed. Speed to market is accelerated by streamlining your product lifecycle and accurately identifying the areas for supply chain improvement. This then allows you to make shorter commitments with your suppliers, keep the inventory lean, and reduce the length of the total product life cycle. Greater agility. Agility is optimized through real-time visibility into your supply chain, and it provides the ability to quickly react to demand changes. Order and shipment modifications can be made quickly to dodge any incoming obstacles or react to customer changes. And the shared visibility and collaboration also gives the suppliers at each tier insight into possible drop styles or order postponements. This all leads to a more nimble supply chain. Lower risk. Risk is minimized by unifying critical data that can be used to make decisions in a single solution. It increases protection, and it decreases impending issues. So with collaboration, your teams can mitigate supply chain failures, whether they be political, economic, or environmental, all of which we've seen over the last few years. And then it gives them the tools to analyze diversification across regions that are more or less susceptible to these concerns, or provide snapshot views of work in progress and delays that enable your sourcing teams to establish trends that might lead to concerns.